GPU prices have been finally falling, which makes it an amazing time to buy a new one. If you want to achieve smooth, high FPS in your favorite games, this PC component is the most important one for gaming. That being said, if you're looking for the best graphics card to fit your budget and needs, and on top of that, your monitor resolution, whether it's 1080p, 1440p or 4K, then you came to the right place. I will show you the best GPUs that you can buy right now, all budgets included. And I will also show you the level of gaming performance that you can expect with each graphics card. So stay until the end if you want to find your perfect GPU. By the way, you will find the links to these graphics cards down below in the video description with the latest pricing and availability in your region. My name is Valentino. That being said, let's start. First, we start with 1080p resolution gaming. So if you have a 1080p monitor or you want to buy one and you want to have the perfect graphics card, well, we have a few, but let's start with the best budget graphics card. In my opinion, this is going to be the Intel Arc B580. The B580 is amazing when it comes to 1080p, even in high demanding titles, and it's also not so expensive. The price by the time of filming for this graphics card goes for $300 USD, and you can play any game that you want at 1080p high to ultra settings, even high demanding games at 60 plus FPS on average. And again, I'm talking about high demanding titles. On top of that, it comes with 12 gigs of VRAM, which is going to be perfect for 1080p in high demanding titles. Now, if you don't care about VRAM and your favorite games do not require more than 8 gigs of VRAM, then you can consider the AMD RX 9060 XT 8GB version, which goes for the same price, $300 USD. However, I would not recommend 8 gigs of VRAM in 2025 for any resolution. But to be fair, the 9060 XT is about 20% faster in terms of performance compared to the Intel Arc B580. So yes, you will be getting faster performance if you are using less than 8 gigs of VRAM. Again, if you want to play high demanding titles, or let's say down the line you want to jump up to 1440p resolution, then I would highly recommend you not having 8 gigs of VRAM, and in that case just go with the Intel Arc B580. But if your favorite games are esports shooters like Valorant or Fortnite, those games are completely fine with 8 gigs of VRAM, but you will have a limitation when it comes to high demanding ones. Now, if you have more money to spend for 1080p resolution, then you can get high-end graphics cards. In this case, the RX 9060 XT 16GB version, which is going to be amazing in terms of performance overall, and you get 16 gigs of VRAM, so you get the level of performance of the 9060 XT without any VRAM limitation. Now, of course, it's going to be more expensive at around $370. But in terms of performance, you can play any game that you want, even if it's a high demanding one or an esports shooter, and not worry about weird visuals or the level of performance. In fact, you can expect very high performance, even in high demanding games at 1080p. And if you want an Nvidia graphics card instead, you can consider the RTX 5060 Ti, 16GB version. This one is a bit more expensive than the AMD RX 9060 XT, but it has DLSS, which is a better upscaler, and it also has a better level of ray tracing performance, and on top of that, it's just slightly faster when it comes to overall performance. So if you want to go Nvidia, go with the 5060 Ti 16GB version. You will be achieving very high frame rates at 1080p resolution, and I'm talking about over 100 FPS when it comes to 1080p high to ultra settings in high demanding games. But the price for this GPU goes for around $430, which is, yes, more expensive than the AMD graphics card, but it's also back at its MSRP, which is amazing news. Now, if you want to play at 1440p and you want to buy the best value graphics card, you can get the same ones, the RTX 5060 Ti or the RX 9060 XT, both 16GB version. These GPUs will be perfectly fine for 1440p resolution gaming, high to ultra settings, even in high demanding titles at 60 plus FPS on average. And of course, if you play easier to run games, you will have no issues. So in my opinion, with these graphics cards, you are getting the best price to performance when it comes to 1440p resolution gaming, or really fast performance when it comes to 1080p. Now, if you want to play at 1440p and you want a higher end graphics card, I do recommend you buying the RTX 5070 or the RX 9070 from AMD. If you want Nvidia, go with the RTX graphics card. Just keep in mind that it's slightly slower compared to AMD's 9070, and on top of that, you get 12 gigs of VRAM, which is going to be fine for 1080p, but with the AMD 9070, you get 16 gigs of VRAM, meaning that down the line, 12 gigs of VRAM might not be enough for high demanding titles at 1440p. So if you want to play the latest, most high demanding games in the next few years at 1440p, just keep that in mind. Now, both the 5070 and 9070 are amazing when it comes to 1440p, even in high demanding games right now, high to ultra settings. And I'm talking about over 100 FPS on average in high demanding titles, which is very, very fast performance. The 5070 by the time of filming goes for $550, which means that it's going at its MSRP. Once again, amazing amazing news, while the RX 9070 goes for around $620. Now again, yes, it's more expensive, but it is going to be a faster GPU and it also has more VRAM. So take those into consideration and then decide for yourself. But for most people, I would highly recommend the RX 9070. Now, if you want to play at 1440p and you want high-end graphics cards, so you want to play with the fastest frame rates, even in high demanding games, then I do recommend you buying the RX 9070 XT or the RTX 5070 Ti if you want to go with an Nvidia GPU. Both of these graphics cards are amazing when it comes to 1440p ultra settings in high demanding games. In fact, you will be playing at 120 plus FPS on average when it comes to high demanding games on high to ultra settings. So very fast performance, top tier. You can turn on ray tracing if you want at 1440p and enjoy the best visuals while enjoying amazing performance as well. So again, these are very high-end graphics cards for 1440p that you can also use for 4K resolution. So if you want to play at 4K and you want the best price to performance graphics cards, these two GPUs will be amazing for that, and you can expect around 80 plus FPS, high to ultra settings in high demanding games at 4K resolution, or even faster performance if you turn on DLSS or FSR, which both are upscaling technologies for you to achieve smoother performance, especially at 4K resolution. Now, by the time of filming, the RX 9070 XT goes for around $780, while the 5070 Ti goes for around $840. So yes, the Nvidia graphics card is more expensive, but it's also better overall because you get a better level of ray tracing performance, you get DLSS, which is the upscaler from Nvidia, and it is supported by more games. And on top of that, if you are a content creator, some applications work better with Nvidia. Now, I've seen both of these graphics cards go for cheaper prices, so maybe when you're watching this, the price might be slightly slower. Well, I hope so. But if the price difference is not more than $100, I would recommend you going with the 5070 Ti. However, if you see the 5070 Ti going for $150 or $200 more expensive, that's when it gets tricky, and that's when I would recommend you buying the 9070 XT because it would be the better price to performance graphics card. But considering that the 5070 Ti is better and is less than $100 more expensive, in this case, I would highly recommend you going with the 5070 Ti if you want a 1440p high-end graphics card or a 4K value one. And then if you want to play at 4K Ultra and you don't care about the pricing, I do recommend you getting either the RTX 5080 or the RTX 5090. Both of these graphics cards are very expensive, but they are going to be the best of the best when it comes to 4K. Of course, the 5090 is the best graphics card out there, so it's going to be the fastest one, but it also goes for almost 3,000 USD. Very expensive, but again, it's the best of the best, so if you want the best gaming performance at any resolution, the 5090 will be your best option. And then the 5080 goes for 1,400 USD, which is still very expensive, and it's going to be very fast for 4K, but of course, not as fast as the RTX 5090, just faster than the 5070 Ti. So again, I wouldn't recommend these graphics cards for most people, but if you don't care about price or performance, you just care about performance, then one of these two graphics cards will be ideal for you, depending on your budget. Now, remember that prices might be different when you're watching this video, so I do recommend you checking the latest pricing and availability for these graphics cards from the links down in the video description. And then if you want to get the best PC overall alongside these graphics cards with no bottlenecks, so you want to achieve the fastest performance for each GPU without bottlenecking it, then I do recommend you watching my video on the best pre-built gaming PCs of the month. You will find it in the top right corner of the screen, and you will also find those pre-built PCs down in the video description. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.